The time is 5:30. Let the record indicate that this special call meeting of Van Alstyne Planning and Zoning has been duly posted and that a quorum is present. And we have citizens communication on here, and before you get alarmed, if you want to speak about the item on the agenda, that will be at a different time, so you don't have to have been signed up. And Alex, I assume we have nobody signed up for citizens communication, which would be items other than what's on the public hearing tonight. And so we will move to item number 3, which is the public hearing. And this will be a public hearing to consider and make recommendations to City Council regarding a request to rezone 69.2 acres from C2, which is commercial, to planned development with the underlying designation of C2, and MF, which is multifamily, and this is located on the northwest corner of US 75 and FM 121. The way we're going to go about this tonight is, before I open up the public hearing, I'm going to ask city staff to make a presentation on this development. Then I'll give the developer an opportunity to tell about this development, and at that time I will open it up to public hearing. Anybody will have up to 3 minutes to speak. Once you have spoken once, your time is done. You can't get back in line over and over again, but you got your 3 minutes. You're also welcome, once somebody spoke and they basically said what you want to say, if you can just say ditto if it's your turn to speak at that time. After the public hearing is closed, basically it'll be a discussion between city staff, the developer, and this commission. And I like to say that it will turn into, at that time, a private meeting held in public. And so there will be no dialogue with the audience at that time, just to order to things. But you will be given, I won't stop calling on people till everybody's had their opportunity to say their piece during the public hearing. Okay? So I'll turn it over to Alex for the staff report on this.
Thank you very much, Chairman and Commissioners. I'd like to just briefly provide an overview of the requested rezoning that is the subject of the public hearing this evening. The package of information, the exhibits associated with the zoning are all available on our website. There's an 18-page document that includes development standards related to this particular development, as well as some proposed exhibits, including signage and site layouts and things of that nature. So what I'd like to do is just provide a general and brief overview of the zoning regulations that are a source of consideration this evening. And then, as you stated, Chairman, I'll turn it over to the developer to provide a bit more context related to the development as a whole. Feel free at any point in time to stop me and seek clarification if you have any specific questions, Commission, about any of these specific items that I'll be discussing. So to begin, this is the 69.2 acre tract that is a source of rezoning. It is located at the northwest corner of Van Alstyne Parkway and US 75. It currently is undeveloped. There is one building in the far southeast portion of the property. The property itself is currently zoned C2, which is a commercial district. The request is to rezone this into a planned development, which is essentially a form of zoning that allows for a development to have tailored development standards. And so, as you stated when you read the caption, this zoning, this planned development, or PD as we call it, has an underlying zoning designation of C2. It also has an underlying zoning designation of MF, standing for multifamily. The way this planned development is crafted is there are 3 sub-areas that are shown on this particular exhibit, sub-areas A, B, and C. A is the area in green that is intended to accommodate the development of big box retailers. Sub-area B, shown in blue, is intended to accommodate pad sites and multi-tenant buildings, and sub-area C at the far north end of the property has development standards tailored to allow for a multifamily development. So I'll hit some high notes on each of those sub-areas in this presentation. So starting with sub-area A in green, the area intended to accommodate for big bucks retail users. As you can see in the packet, there are development standards related to certain ancillary features that are associated with big box retailers. There are allowances for outdoor display, open storage, seasonal sale areas, and equipment rental. The planned development also includes specific standards related to architectural design, masonry, parking ratios, access, as well as circulation in and amongst the proposed development. Sub-area A also includes the requirement for 2 open space areas within the development, as well as a series of pedestrian-connected trails that go from the sub-area C or multifamily area down into sub-area A and sub-area B as well. There is a requirement for landscaping to be planted along the perimeter of the property adjacent to the streets. Interior parking planted within the required landscape parking islands, as well as requirement for plantings adjacent to residential, albeit there is not as much of that on this particular track. Parking areas are required to be screened from public right-of-way, and there is a series of provisions related to the screening of rooftop-mounted mechanical equipment, ground-mounted equipment, trash enclosures, incinerators, service areas, loading docks, and other similar types of equipment and features. Moving on to sub-area B, the pad sites are the multi-tenant areas. The development standards written into the PD really accommodate a series of different uses, primarily restaurant, office, retail, service, and similar. There are currently 2 multi-tenant buildings that are shown on the conceptual site plan, which I'll show momentarily. There's a requirement for 2 sit-down restaurants within the sub-area B. There is an allowance for 3 drive-through restaurants along US 75 and 1 along FM 121. There's an allowance for 2 drive-through beverage establishments, and one of those being in one of the multi-tenant buildings. For those not familiar with specific use permits, it is a form of zoning. The plan development does make allowances for any additional drive-through restaurants, daycares, or auto uses, with the exception of car wash, to come back with public hearing to the Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council for requests for those additional uses to be permitted within the development. Looking a little deeper at sub-area B, as I mentioned, there are 2 multi-tenant buildings that are currently shown on the conceptual site plan. Those 2 buildings are outlined in red. In addition to that, the plan development does include conceptual elevations for those 2 buildings shown below. One of the unique components of the way this plan development is structured is for any portion of the development that has a conceptual site plan that is detailed, such as those outlined in red, that have accompanying building elevations. Future approval of site plans and building elevations can be handled by staff. Currently, that really is only the 2 buildings that are outlined in red at this point. Sub-area B also allows for interior cross-access without road frontage, provided that at the time of development and platting that an access easement is provided and established by plat that enables perpetual access to interior landlocked lots, which this is a very common feature within retail centers. Although not exclusively on sub-area B, some of these blue circles are actually technically shown in sub-area A, but these are points of connection with TxDOT's adjacent rights-of-way, and so these driveway locations are subject to approval by TxDOT in the future. Sub-area C, the multifamily, as I stated, located at the far end of the property. does allow for a typical multifamily, in other words, apartment complex. It also allows for townhomes, should in the future a townhome developer seek interest and desire to develop the property with a townhome. So there are standards related to both of those in the PD. With regard to multifamily, though, specifically, there are allowances for and requirements for architectural design, masonry. There are area regulations like building height, setbacks, square footage of apartment units and things of that nature. I do have a comparison of those standards, but there are some, the plan development does prescribe those types of area regulations within the PD. There are allowances for and requirements for landscaping and screening. There's two scenarios related to parking. It does provide a standard surface parking ratio, but in the chance that it ever can be developed with a structure parked type of apartment complex, meaning there's a parking garage surrounded by units, there are some provisions built in there that would allow for that type of multifamily to be developed in the future. And there is a requirement for cross-access to the northern adjacent property from the multifamily track. So I'll briefly run through the comparison. This essentially is going to show you how the PD for multifamily deviates from current city standards. Currently, our MF district allows up to 18 units an acre. This PD allows for 28. One thing I do need to stop and make serious note of is the PD, as it's currently written, does allow for a max building height of 65 feet or 4 stories. Staff is going to recommend that at the point in time that the Planning and Zoning Commission takes action, that it's recommended that be reduced down to 45 feet. In consultation with our city attorney's office, because the city of Van Alstyne doesn't currently have a ladder truck, we cannot service a 65-foot tall building, and therefore we cannot build a zoning provision into our PD that doesn't allow for servicing. So staff is recommending that in conjunction with any motions that be reduced to 45 feet in accordance with our standard regulation. You can see there are some deviations from the setbacks as well as unit sizes. Modifications to masonry and parking as well. The PD also includes a signage package that allows for 2 25-foot tall multi-tenant signs along US 75 and 2 multi-tenant signs along FM 121. Also makes allowances for 10-foot single-tenant signs along US 75 and 8-foot tall single-tenant signs on FM 121. And there is a monumental development ground sign located at the far northeast property that introduces the name of the development to the community. That concludes my general comments. I'd be glad to answer any technical questions you have at this time or following the applicant's presentation.
The developer, please.
Yes, there's a UCD and their team is in attendance to provide information. I'm not sure exactly who with UCD is going to take the stand, but I'd welcome any one of them up here.
You ready?
Take the stand, yeah.
Do I stand here?
Yeah. You're teed up right there.
Okay, so. My name is Robert Dorzell. I'm the owner of United Commercial Development, and I just want to say thank you very much for scheduling the special session. So why did we do the special session? Well, we want to move the zoning along as quickly as possible so we can build a nice shopping center here in Van Alstyne. So, you know, getting through the zoning is a big part of the process. The property is already zoned retail, but there were certain things that we needed to change. And we've hired Hodges Architects and Spires Engineering both of whom are very well respected here in the city, to help us with this process. Why am I here? So I worked with Alex Glushko when he was in the town of Prosper. And we got to know Alex really well, and we did a big development there. And, you know, I can't remember exactly, I guess he and I spoke, and he said that y'all's one grocery store is going to be closing. And I think the property at the time had been under contract maybe to another grocery store, and they had dropped. And he was like, look, we need someone that can bring this in. And so I came up and I met with Alex. I met with Lane Jones. We talked about the property. He put us in touch with Bill Benton, who represents the property. We were able to work out a deal to put it under contract, and we started working on it. As far as UCD itself, so I guess I'll just do this. I've personally been in the business 31 years. This is just like a kind of a brochure of some of the things that we've done. It's small on the screen. You know, we're happy to send around a copy of this PowerPoint if anybody cares or whatever. But you know, the reason why we got involved in the first place was obviously the work with Alex, but we also have a really good reputation for building these types of shopping centers. And you know, when we met with Lane and Alex, they indicated from the very first meeting that they wanted this to be a gateway center. And so, I mean, my expectation is this could be maybe the nicest shopping center we've ever built. And that's saying a lot because we've done a lot. All of our work has been in DFW, which is odd because, you know, a lot of the developers of our size do work all over the state, but, you know, we know DFW as well as anybody. We know all the anchor tenants. We know all of the brokers. We know all of the engineers. We know a lot of people. We're getting to know a lot of y'all by coming up and meeting with. And we like to be interactive. We like to be collaborative. And you know, it's not a my way or the highway type of thing, but you know, there are certain things that we know that we need to have in order to be successful. So this is just a map showing just the locations of deals that we've done around DFW. It's not really anything to look at today. Since our founding, we've developed 5 million square feet, 22 shopping centers in the last 18 years. We have anchor relationships with Walmart, Target, H-E-B, Tom Thumb, Market Street, Kroger, Aldi, Home Depot, and more. So we've done deals with all those people. And then when you do these shopping centers, obviously you have the development around it, and so you start to get to know the people that want to be around the anchors, you know, Ulta, TJ Maxx, Cavender's, Academy, Pets. These are just a list of we just put this together. I mean, there's dozens more. We've done a lot, but we've done a lot recently. Like I said, Alex and I worked together in Prosper, and so probably the development that we're most known well for is the Four Corners development at the corner of 423 and 380. The north and northwest, northeast corners are both in Prosper. Southwest, southeast are in Frisco. So, you know, not the easiest places to develop. You know, they kind of, you know, but we were able to get them happy, you know, and approve what we did, and we've done a nice development there. The brokers say it's arguably the best retail intersection in the entire Metroplex. That's saying a lot. We've got Kroger there, we've got H-E-B there, we've got Walmart, Home Depot, Academy, Aldi, LA Fitness, multifamily, single family, hotels. The hotels aren't built yet, but they're under contract, medical office, junior anchors. We recently started on 150,000 square feet of junior anchor space on the northwest corner of that intersection. Some other things that are fairly recent is we just finished in the last year the Kroger at Kuwait and 121. I'm just naming things that maybe a lot of people would know because they're kind of new. That was actually a deal that we partnered with Kroger on, which, you know, they don't just partner with anybody. I mean, they only partner with good companies, and we moved them from across the street and did a nice development around them there. We're working with Target under construction with them down in Fort Worth, way south Fort Worth on the Chisholm Trail. And then you guys maybe have read, you know, it's just in the last couple of months, that there's a new HEB development going in Royce City, and it's called Anderson Crossing, and we closed on that in March, I guess. And so that was a collaboration with HEB, and so it's HEB, Home Depot, Junior Anchors, 225,000 square feet of total square feet, and we're actually breaking ground on that in July. So real active with all these people. The Dallas Business Journal has us listed as the number 3 commercial developer in the Metroplex, which, you know, I don't know if that's true or not, but that's how they have us listed, you know, so it's good to put up there, I guess. Here's the intersection of FM 423 and US 380. You can see that it's got a lot of cool stuff there. A lot of stuff that I think Van Alstyne would like to see, I think, you know, based on the people that I've met. And so the part that is recently started construction is next to LA Fitness on the northwest corner. There's a shot. Anyway, you know, just it's a, you know, the thing about these shopping centers too that's interesting and a lot of people don't know is a lot of them take forever to get done. They have multiple phases, and I mean, like we started on this center in 2014. The thing about what we're doing here, at least on the northwest corner, is it'll be, I believe, mostly in one phase. Now, maybe not the multifamily because we have some sewer impediments and so forth, and I guess we need to get a ladder truck, you know, but other than that, I mean, the retail, we'll be able to do all at the same time. We just got back from the ICSC, which is the International Council of Shopping Centers Convention in Las Vegas. It's a national, I can't tell you how many meetings we had. We're real busy when we go out there, and we had some really good meetings out there about Van Alstyne in particular. So this is a Kroger that we just built up there at Coit 121. You know, and then there's the Target that we're doing down in Fort Worth. I'm pulling these up because these are like deals that are under construction right now. We've done a lot, as you saw in our brochure. This is the site plan for Royce City, and they've announced, so it's not a secret or anything, but HEB is over on the right side there. And when we did this in coordination with HEB, they had the whole property under contract, and then we came in and bought from them, and you know, they kind of chose us to do that with them. So that's kind of a neat thing to be chosen to do something like that. There were definitely a lot of people that were that would like to be in that position, and you can see 200,000 square feet of Junior Anchors, a retail building. Over on the left there is going to be Home Depot, and then we've got a fitness use on the northwest corner there. So this is going to break ground in July. Not sure what else we have here. Oh, so Hodges put together a really nice potential rendering of the shopping center. And, you know, I think it looks really nice. I think there's a lot to like about this layout and so forth. It was something that was put together with a lot of thought and a lot of coordination with staff. And I'm not really sure what else to say about it. I think it looks pretty sharp. I mean, that's my opinion. There might be some other opinions, but that's fine. This is what I do for a living. I build shopping centers and bring nice gateway developments to the cities that want them. So I think that's about it.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions for me right now, or?
It will get to you
I
after the
did want to
public
let you
hearing.
know that the Hodges, Charles Hodges and Gerald Lukey with Hodges they've developed millions and millions and millions of square feet of retail. And then we've got Spires, our civil engineer. They're both here and available for questions, okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this time, we're going to open the public hearing. When you're called on, if you would come up to the microphone so people in Cyberland can hear you. And when you come up, please state your name and your address. And also, we cannot answer questions for you, but if you have questions in your comments, Usually you will hear the answers to those when we start our dialogue. So we're not going back and forth and getting into conversations with the audience, or we'd be here for 2 or 3 days. But if you state a question, more likely than not, you'll hear the answer during our discussion. Fair enough? Okay, so we're gonna, the time is 5:55, and we're gonna open up the public hearing at this time. I'm gonna start with the back row to my right and y'all's left and run my finger across, and if there's somebody, raise your hand if you want to come up and speak on the back row. All right.
Good evening. I'm Ryan Love. I live at 241 White Creek Road in Van Alstyne, Texas, in Dublin State. I understand, and I'm all for change. In order to grow, change is inevitable, and I get that. I moved from Lowry Crossing, which now 380, you can't get, a mouse can't cross it. I get that. All of you either grew up here, and I know a lot of you did, and moved here. Why did you move here? We've dropped the signages down. For why? For aesthetics? Or so people couldn't see to go shop? Because you sure can at 75 miles an hour. I understand we need retail. I get that. We need grocery stores. I understand. But the development that is sitting next to Thompson Farm has been sitting empty because they can't sell houses. So if we can't sell houses, what's the next best way? Put apartments. People that aren't paying taxes. In a farming community, you would say they're only going to be sucking the teat. They're not doing any planning for us. And this was originally a farming community built by a lot of sweat equity. I live right next to those beautiful high rises of homes. No, I'm going to be looking at that. I understand that you want to do some apartments. Do they have to be 4 stories? Because I guarantee you, as soon as you do 2 stories, is there going to be something in the developer's clause that says, once we get a 65-foot, he can put 2 more stories? There has to be some reasonability here. There's a lot of dirt in Van Alstyne, Texas. To be able to have to put that last quadrant C, you can take that away, developer, and you can continue all of your retail. Put a nice big hedge of trees, because this young family right here, that I have pictures that he trains in his children riding down our street, and it's the most blessed thing that I see. And now we're going to have this next to us. How are you going to get all of the people, all of the vehicles out of that corner? You're going to have a buttonhole right here, because everybody's got to go all the way around 75, all the way to Farmington, and come all the way back. You already have businesses right there. So then where are they going to go? They're going to come around Bridge Farmer, or Jim Jones, which you guys can't even keep the weeds mowed. Or the hose field. They just did that yesterday because I saw a city guy out there. I guess that's the first time he'd been there in a year. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the back row over on this corner? Don't see him? Okay.
Thank you first for letting me speak. My name is Pamela Johnson Burnett. I'm a true native from Frisco, Texas, when we only have one street light. Unfortunately, my parents lived on Main Street, and when they couldn't pull out anymore...
Would you state your address for me, please?
Yes, 21 White Creek Road.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
I apologize.
Not a problem.
When my parents couldn't pull out on Main Street, they moved to East Texas. and recently I've moved back. I looked for over a year as to where I would relocate, and it was here in Van Alstyne because it reminded me so much of Frisco when Frisco was Frisco. And you see what's happened there. I loved Anna, but look what's happened to Anna. Nothing but apartments. Now, I know we need apartments, but I am dead set on where this proposal has them. We already have apartments on the east side. Why can it not continue over there? Is, I guess, my main question. We do need retail, unlike the other gentleman. Progress is inevitable. We all know that. But we need to make sure that we're not another Anna in apartment riddled, because our utilities, our roadways, we can't handle that right now. And I think y'all are aware of that. So I wish you would reconsider the multifamily. I would like to know how many they plan on, what the occupancy would be of this multifamily. That has yet to be addressed, and I would like to know that. And I thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. I'm gonna go to the second row on my left, y'all's right. Did I miss somebody on the back row? No, you're good. Okay, thank you. Okay, second row. Yes, ma'am.
Hi. Hi, gentlemen. My name's Marshall Bell. I live at 340 Thompson Drive. Again, appreciate you having the hearing today. Some of the people have already kind of mentioned what I would like to have talked about, but I guess you guys know that the state of Texas has limited your abilities a lot. The state has pulled Big Brother legislation for at least the last decade. So unfortunately, we don't have a lot that we can do. Same thing with the city council. And so I understand that, and I can empathize with what you guys have to do on a daily basis. But this situation, you guys actually have the upper hand this time. So I wish that you would consider Van Alstyne, the current residents, and the culture of Van Alstyne, and why people, A, live here from generations, and then also moved here to get away from city life, like myself. My husband and I lived in Midlothian. In 2019, we moved, and that's really the reason, is because of the overdevelopment. The homogenization of our society is ridiculous. And Van Alstyne has a very unique culture. I know a lot of people think that I don't love being here, but I do. I enjoy it very much. I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of family. In East Texas, it's like a direct shot. It's a perfect location for a family, small country life, and we enjoy it here. But this particular situation, we know that hub, that corner, that corridor is already a hot mess. So I don't understand why we would ever consider, especially since we do have the upper hand right now, to allow the developer to push y'all into this decision with a multifamily. Again, we need shopping, we know that. Everybody's already said that, we all agree on that. But the multifamily would put pressure in that corridor that we just don't need or can handle right now. And same thing with, we understand that there's TxDOT, 5 years out, that are even talking about that corridor. Maybe Shelley Luther can help us get it bumped up a couple more years. We don't know what that looks like yet. So hold your cards to your chest and don't give your hand away yet. There's no reason for it. And the last thing I'm gonna mention is I Zillowed rent apartments. So I don't know if y'all can see my phone, but apartments within, I would say, a 30-mile radius. So Sherman, Anna, Melissa, McKinney, Princeton, Frisco, Plano, 13,117. I think there's plenty of places to go. That's it.
Thank you. Back, second row, this direction. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Deanna Wilder. 134 White Oak Drive in Van Alstine. I would just like to say ditto to this young lady here, and ditto to the gentleman that spoke very first, yes. And yeah, there's no need, and that's too much. It's just too much. And ask Anna what kind of growth they're going through too with their rental properties and their crime rate and all that. So check with Anna on what they're going through right now
Okay.
with the retail and the being stolen. Go ahead.
Rodney Wilder, 134 White Oak, which is going to be backed up to my road. With the most concern, I know retail's got to come, but housing and part of it, I watched Anna because I run a business in Anna, and since like apartments came in there in the last 2 years, my theft rate has went up almost triple, and the people moving into them are usually lower income, and they're just coming in and riffling through the store, not even worried about, which you guys are inviting it with that. You guys will be invited in that same process to Van Alstine. So Anna's Police Department's already had to double. You might as well start hiring policemen because they're going to be called all the time with more apartments in this area. Like the other lady said, you got apartments everywhere. You really don't need that. Plus, you can't. My Jim Jones Road is a hot mess, and no one wants to fix it. And so I don't know how you're going to put more traffic down that road when you start doing construction and everything, because you can't. It's only one lane road pretty much. Once you get past the new addition, they bit on that other side. So that's just, yeah, I just don't see it being good because they're going to be, eventually all them people are going to be running in our neighborhoods, stealing and raffling our area. So not really energetic about if that happens. A lot of us are going to probably move just like Anna did when all them people moved out, and now they got Section 8 everywhere.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yes. I'm Jack Radke, 2601 Provine Road, McKinney, Texas. What am I doing here? My family owns the 41 acres to the north of this development. And I just have a couple of concerns that I've actually visited with Alex about. We're supportive of the development. The only thing that I ask is that we are given some type of access along 75 to the 41 acres. And also as sewer and water is brought in to this new development, that it doesn't prohibit me from tying on to it whenever the time comes to develop the 41 acres. So I know I don't agree with all multifamily there. I'd prefer not to be boxed in on the 41 acres, but I understand development. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
What's going on, fellas? My name's Billy Russell. I live at 374 White Oak. I'm probably the one getting affected by this the most. Me and my family, my 4 kids live right behind where those apartments will be. I mean, my land is literally right behind it. Yeah, you can kind of see it. There was another good one. I'm just directly right behind it. You know, I grew up in DeSoto, which I don't think any of y'all would want to go move down there right now. I lived in Allen for a little bit, and when COVID started, we had just had my oldest son there, and scared us like crazy. So we moved up here to Van Alstine, and I gotta say, it's been the best 5-6 years of my life. I love it. I understand development's gonna happen. Those apartments getting put right there is gonna screw me over big time. I have to work 6 days a week to keep everything going for my family, and I do it, and I'll do it till the day I die. You move those apartments in, it's now I got to worry about my family's protection. I got to worry about people. I'm gonna have to get a bunch of guard dogs. My neighbors ain't gonna like that. What's gonna come into my house? What if my property value just drops? You know, just all these different things. In a perfect world, we don't live in a perfect world. You know, I get the whole shopping center going down. I think we all in this room kind of understand that's gonna happen. But infrastructure-wise, we are not ready. Taking him to school in the mornings over at Sanford from across the road, so y'all know exactly where I'm living. To get across there, it's 18 minutes. And then you're gonna put all those people over there. I mean, when they finally got the 2 lanes going, that helped things out a little bit. But, I mean, guys, if y'all build this, me and my neighbors, we're probably gonna have to sell and move, and I really don't want to. Arroyo's right next door is my favorite place. I love Van Alstine. I mean, I absolutely love Van Alstine. I moved up here for what it is right now. I get that those fields are gonna have to be something someday. I knew that when I bought that house. But put a 24-hour fitness or not 24-hour fitness, just a gym, something that if it's a business, it closes at night, and I don't have to worry about my life, my babies, everything. I want to have more kids. Like I at this point, I'm like, I got that letter in the mail, and it was like a death in the family, and then do some research on it, and it's multifamily homes. I mean, dude, who wants apartments being built right next door to your house? I mean, are you guys going to build me a fence? Are you going to put trees? It just sucks. It just sucks. I get with the businesses coming. Everybody in this room, I think, knows that. But those apartments going in right there, it's like the lady before me said, there's a lot of apartments. And we all know what apartments brings. And I hate to be like that, but I got to work 6 days a week to pay my house. And they're going to come in, and, that's just not fair. So, thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Robert Rude. I live at 286 White Oak Drive, Dobbins Estates. I'll start out with an unpopular statement that I work in the industry as a builder of multifamily. And I have never had a bunch of neighbors come up and say, man, I'm glad you're here. They fight tooth and nail. Everybody hates it. I will throw this at you. Don't care what those multifamily units end up being. They're probably paying 3 or 4 times what we pay for our houses. So they don't necessarily breed riffraff. Will there be some? Yeah, there's some riffraff in our neighborhood now. But the point is traffic. And when the developer said, our stars at 420 and 380, I'm like, there you go. If anybody's been down there, there is not a reason in hell I'll go there intentionally because of traffic. And you're fixing to do the same thing here. Absolutely ridiculous. If you try to go to anything east of 75 or come back down the frontage road, coming north, you know what I'm talking about. You did some alleviating by doing that. You're going to exaggerate that problem 1,000-fold, regardless of what you do. Multifamily, no multifamily. The development is coming. Now, my next question is, I think when I got Alex sent out this same thing that we're seeing on the presentation in a link, am I correct? So all of those are included. I can look at that later. The developer did a good job of pointing some of that stuff out. But what I'm more concerned about, just like Billy, who is my neighbor and has use of his property without impedance, is I live a little bit south of him. What's next? Where do we stop? He says this is a gateway. To what? They got that single family development on the other side of Jim Jones. There's a whole bunch of property over there too. So what's next? And they built that road going up towards the high school, and then it kind of just fizzled out. I don't know what's going on there. This town, and that's what it was, is slowly becoming something else. And traffic has got to be a bigger concern to you guys and to the residents that live here. And I would like, if we can, is there some form that, you guys are recording these questions, right? And you're going to talk about that amongst yourselves. Correct?
Correct.
And we're going to be able to listen in without interchange, right? So would I also be able to get, or all of us be able to get email contacts for everybody, including the developer, so that we can carry on this dialogue outside of this room today? Because I assume at some point it's going to go forward whether we say yes or no. I would like to have more to say than my 3 minutes here.
Let us contemplate that.
Okay? Thank you.
Pam?
Hi, I'm Sharon Gentry, and I live at 335 White Oak Drive. My neighbor, we're going to be facing the back of those apartment complexes, just so you know perspective where I'm coming from. My first question is, or comment is a question which I know you cannot answer at this moment, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Is there an updated drainage analysis on this property, on the entire 69.2 acres? On the plans that I saw online, I saw 2 retention ponds, and they're in area A or B. B, I believe it's what you called it. The retention ponds are this side of the, they are south of the creek. Where the apartments are planned, I saw no plans for retention ponds in that area. That creek that you see in blue runs across the south side of my property, south and west side. So I'm in that corner, right there, following that pond. So all the water that comes down that creek runs right underneath a private bridge that we built and paid for, 10 grand, somewhere like that. A concrete bridge. We had to build it twice because the water tore it down, flooded it out, washed it out. We built it back with a significant concrete bridge, low water bridge. So the more water that comes down that creek, the more risk we have of our bridge getting washed out. And a concern about that is our only exit from our property, them and us. We can't get out of our property if that bridge washes out. And I need to know, what are we doing? What are we going to do about the potential for water exceeding the capacity of that bridge and in that creek? Because if it comes outside the creek, it could flood our properties. So I'm really concerned about flood potential. There's no provision right now for retention ponds in the apartment complex area. And I think the 2 that are on the south side of the creek, the concern there is, I want to make sure that if there's any change to the current proposed retention ponds for that, because you'll need that for the retail development that you're doing. So if there's any plans for change of the size of those retention ponds or a need to change them, I would like to make sure that the population that lives in that area is notified about it and we have some say-so about what might happen there. I expect that that's what you do anyway, but I have to say that. So erosion and flooding are my first concerns. And then my second concerns are the safety of the children that play in that area. The only separation I saw in the plans between the apartments and our property is a tree every 15 foot. That's it. So you're going to have, I know you said 2-story because of the risk for fire engines. We don't have a ladder truck, so maybe it's just 2-story apartments that we're talking about here. But still, there's no separation between our private property, which is single-family properties, and this development, except a tree. So I guess that's it.
Thank you. Going this way. Gentlemen? Yes, sir.
My name is Kevin Susi, live at 1609 San Carlos Drive. Also have another Van Alstyne address out west. I think we can all agree that we don't want the multifamily here. Everybody wants the businesses. We think they look great. The gentlemen that come in here and they're stroking themselves on their projects and their big buildings and stuff, they don't live here. They don't deal with it every day. They don't deal with the people, the traffic, the lifestyle that comes with all that and where they're building. The apartments, you know, they bring in temporary people. They bring in people that don't know each other. Van Alstyne, currently with houses and stuff, everybody knows each other for the most part, and everybody's neighbors, and we're all friends. Apartments is just temporary people. Apartments also lead to, you know, I hope at one point in time that this doesn't turn into Anna with all the apartments that they have, along with the housing and the rent housing, because they allowed a bunch of Section 8 in there. I've dealt with that for a while. And with that comes crime, and people, they try new beginnings in life, and they bring their old ways with them. The other stuff that doesn't really make sense is, you know, like QT moved in, we didn't allow them to put a big sign up, made other businesses take down their pole signs, but yet we're gonna have apartments that are standing taller than any of those signs would have been. Just doesn't make sense. A nice view across the horizon is now just gonna be buildings, it sounds like. The gentleman mentioned that he met people that want all of this. I'm not sure if he was referring to the apartments, but I don't know anybody that wants that. And I don't know what kind of people he's talked to. I think you need to talk to more of the people that are in this room that took the time to show up tonight. And I hope you guys, consider everybody in here and what they have to say, because if our opinion doesn't matter to help your decision, then why even have these meetings? Just have them in private. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. I've gone all the way around the room. I assume no comments from the corner over here. One more opportunity for anybody in the audience that if something hadn't been said that you would like to say. Last call. Going once, going twice. All right, at this time, it's 6:20, and we're going to close the public hearing at this time, and we will open it up to commissioners. Commissioners, I'm going to ask. Yes, I'm sorry. As for the record for public hearing, we're going to read three.
Actually, two.
Two, okay. We got two comments by email, and so I want to read those, have those read into the record. I apologize.
Okay. This is from Ryan Beltran, and the comment that he submitted is that area cannot handle current traffic, and adding more residential would only further negatively impact it. If approved,
He's not on.
I know.
if approved, it would hurt the town with the increased traffic times and decreased property values in the areas nearby. The lack of city services, i.e. parks, sidewalks, or additional fire and police stations on the west side of 121, even more residential would only decrease the safety of our town and its residents and their children. The next comment we received was from Kimberly King at 1560 Whispering Meadows Drive. As a resident of this community, I am concerned with the proposed density is inconsistent with the character of the surrounding area, which is primarily composed of single-family homes. This development could significantly alter the nature of our neighborhood while increasing traffic congestion and creating safety concerns on roads not designed to accommodate such growth. I am also concerned about the strain this property may place on schools, emergency services, utilities, and other public infrastructure. Before any approval is granted, a thorough assessment should be conducted to ensure these systems can adequately support the additional population. Additionally, if this development includes income-restricted or subsidized housing, I respectfully request that the city carefully evaluate its long-term economic impact and whether it aligns with the community's vision for growth, investment, and economic development. The city should ensure that any proposed project contributes positively to the tax base, supports local businesses, and is compatible with the long-term goals established in the comprehensive plan. For these reasons, I urge the City Council and the Planning Commission to deny this application or require substantial modification to better reflect the character, capacity, and future goals of our community. Thank you for your time and consideration.
All right, now we'll close the public hearing with those being on the record. And commissioners, what I would like to do tonight, I see that we have 4 blocks of things to discuss tonight, one being the overall development, one being Area A, and then Area B, and then Area C, A being the big boxes, B being the other stores, C being the multifamily. So to keep things organized, I would like to discuss them in those order. And so we will start with just the overall development and your thoughts. And if I can, I'll start on my left. Y'all.
Well, I think that it's pretty self-evident that this type of development place a tremendous amount of traffic in an already very difficult intersection. The area at 75, anybody that drives through there during any heavy traffic period at the time of the day, how long they is set. I see school buses coming out, run their routes that have to run that red light and then block traffic to get out so that they can get through it. We definitely need retail, we definitely need more places to eat, things to do, support that. But I think that for me, the real piece of this that is a no-go, any multifamily. And the reason being is because they've all said it. Multifamily, they're gonna exit basically one of the days. And let's say you have 1,000 people living in a multifamily, that's at least 1,000 cars. Carrying to that, not including what it's gonna place the load on it from the retail that we want and we need. So, I think that, move forward, this needs to move forward without the possibility of certainly can't happen until all of 75, all of that intersection has been done by TxDOT, which we have no control over.
Audience, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that, I'm sorry. Okay, this is a private meeting held in public, okay? Thank you. And I would like to interject, if I may, the questions that hasn't been answered is how many units? And if my math works, hopefully it does, you've got a little less than 11 acres and maximum are 28 units per acre, which would be 308 units. Okay, and so by comparison, I think that's about, I think it's about the size of the flats, if that gives you any perspective on the size of it. So, I'm sorry,
Oh, no, no,
you want to go ahead?
You're absolutely right, you're absolutely right.
Okay.
And we haven't defined that yet, how many units.
Other comments on the overall project? Yes, sir.
Yeah, overall, the project is needed. The multifamily is an area that I have concern over. There's several things that are positive about the retail portion of it. First of all, the city needs the tax base to provide the services, to provide the roads, to provide the parks, to provide all the things that everybody's talked about. Because right now, every one of us take our money and we go to Anna and we spend it there. Or we go to Sherman and we spend it there. So having the retail here would allow us to keep our money in Van Alstyne. So that is a huge impact to the city and the city's budget. So that is definitely needed. And also with a quality retail area that has nice restaurants and things like that, then we could potentially be the city that draws from other communities. Because there's a lot of development that's coming up the 289 corridor in Gunner, and there's gonna be a lot of folks that come over from Gunner to spend their money in Van Alstyne. Howell is gonna have a lot of development. So maybe if we can get our stake in the ground, then we can, instead of us going to Anna to spend money, then people come to Van Alstyne to spend money. So that's a huge impact to our community. And there's no better place in the community for retail than right along a limited access highway. So that is a good spot for it. It's a prime piece of retail location. The multifamily I have issue with, and I'm sure we'll get to that when we get to that subsection.
Yeah.
But overall, I'm in support of the retail portion of it. I'm a huge supporter of it because we need it.
Thank you. Jim?
A couple things. I'll echo again with what the predecessors have said. Traffic at 12175, there's no way in its current configuration can handle that. I don't see a way to do it. We can't get traffic through there right now, so it's a problem. What is the plan to, what's the timeline on that intersection, Alex? Somebody?
I would like to give our city manager an opportunity just to discuss with us for a few minutes discussions that have been had on the transportation and what we know and what we don't know. If you don't mind.
I'm trying to figure out where to start with that dialogue.
It's a whole different meeting, but.
Yeah, the Highway 75 overpass, I had a meeting as late as today, that I think we've made some substantial progress. I can't guarantee what's going to happen at the state level, neither can Representative Luther or Senator Hagenbach, but you have a very strong group of people lobbying the correct people in Austin, and we should know fairly quickly where that 75 overpass is in its potential process. As a city, to help expedite that overpass, we are paying to engineer the overpass. We met with TxDOT, discovered that in fact the overpass was at 60% design before it was shelved when TxDOT ran out of money. I met with the engineering firm that had done that design work, and in coordination with TxDOT, we're picking up the balance of that design, and we want to make that project shovel-ready. So when TxDOT's able to fund it, we're not having to wait another year for design to be complete. The city had committed $4.5 million in matching funds to the overpass. This amount of money to engineer it will be taken from that pool of money. So when the time comes to contribute our matching funds, we'll be contributing $2.5 million, not $4.5 million to that overpass. So I believe with a certain degree of confidence that hopefully we can get some good news in the next couple of months when the Transportation Committee provides the state with a list of approved projects for funding. In addition to the overpass, the city is, well, let me back up a little bit. In April of 2024, the city hired the Goodman Corporation. They came in and met with you folks, and they also met with City Council and identified 15 roadway projects within the city to improve the flow of traffic through our city. The Goodman Corporation looked at all of those projects and evaluated them based on business metrics, if you will, crash statistics, quality of the roadway, that kind of information was put together. And those 15 roads were rated from most important to least important. They're all important, but they were listed in order. The very first project that they recommended be constructed is currently named unnamed, Road number 1. It's a connection from the entry of the high school over to the 75 frontage road just south of the Baptist Church. That provides a welcome outlet of traffic, so you don't have to travel up to Van Alstyne Parkway, nor do you have to traverse that corner at Colin McKinney Parkway onto Van Alstyne Parkway, which is a big pinch point in our city. And secondly, project number 2 was Colin McKinney Parkway. I heard that mentioned earlier. Colin McKinney was originally funded in concrete, 2 lanes. It was a shared project between the Manchway Development, the ISD, and the city of Van Alstyne. It paid for 2 lanes of a stretch of roadway. It's almost a mile long. So the second half of that roadway is our number 2 project. It's a $4.85 million project, and I'm proposing that the city consider paving both Colin McKinney Parkway, making a 4-lane divided to help mitigate traffic that we have, and the installation of unnamed road number 1. Both of those roads, if they can be, city council will approve their funding. We could have them engineering start right away and possibly see construction next year.
Okay, piggyback on some of that. I'll take.
Go right ahead.
Thank you. Just so everybody knows, I currently live in Georgetown, which is east of 75. I spend a lot of time going to O'Reilly Auto Parts. For those of you who know me, understand that. I go Panther Parkway and then up the backside through Mantuay to get to O'Reilly's because I don't like the 121-75 intersection. Okay? Now, that's one way to do it. Calling McKinney Parkway would help that. That would, I'm just piggyback on what you said, it would help my travel time in that as well. So I understand that part of it. Having watched Anna and the 455 interchange to 75 when that bridge was not completed, and seeing Walmart come in and that went down and all the traffic there, I cringe at 75 121 interchange. I feel like that's going to be another issue like that. Currently, Anna, in my mind, they need to have U-turns on the other sides of the bridge that they've got now. Because if you go south, and then want to go west on 455, I usually turn right and then go down by QT and turn around. But that's just me. So, because I don't like sitting through two lights. That's just, I cringe when I do that. All that to say, I don't know how long the time frame is to get this shopping center open, and we desperately need it. We desperately need it. We need grocery stores, we need restaurants. I'm tired of driving to Anna to spend money. I don't like it. I don't like driving to, I love Chipotle. I love Whataburger. I love Chick-fil-A. But I don't like giving them my money because they're in Anna. I don't like that. I want to keep it here. So anything we can do to expedite that, I'm good. But I do have a problem with traffic. Multifamily. Alex.
Can we discuss that and
Well,
when we
you're talking about
discuss
the overall thing.
All right, go.
Well, where does the multifamily fall under the comprehensive plan?
The comprehensive plan, including the future land use plan, is set to be considered by the city council on June 9th.
Correct.
Should it be approved, it includes multifamily in this location.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Well,
Mike.
I don't have a whole lot to add from what's already been said here, but I will make one comment in the request.
Move your.
I'm sorry, my apologies. I'll make one comment in their request. They talk about in the 4 stories, which is not going to fly because we don't have a ladder truck. And by the way, a new ladder truck's $2.5 million. Okay. And, but they talk about 48 units per acre. That's 500 units on 10.4 acres. And so I have to reflect what was said about the traffic. It's just not possible. And then I have just sort of an off-sided comment. Would you go back one chart, Alex? Where you show zones down in the lower right portion of that, which is Sonic and the bank and the doctor's office. In this chart, you show that is zones 2A, B, and C, and zone 1, I believe. I think you're off by 1 block, and that should be the 2 pieces of property to the left of those, if I interpret that properly. Just a comment for further thought.
Okay. All right. I always save myself for last, and the pieces that I've got concerns with, and I once again think that we need the retail. In our packet, there is a place on page 3 and page 18 for that discuss future site planning approved by staff. I think we're a long way from, we need things defined a whole lot more before it's just turned over to staff. I would be opposed to anything at this point that just does that. We don't have elevations, and it does say if, for more elevations, but we're short a lot of elevations. I would want in the document to clearly define construction and delivery traffic entries and exits, and those be on the service road and not along 121, that I don't want an entrance to this facility along 121 until substantial completion of the project. And that would send all traffic down to Farmington, which 18-wheelers coming north to deliver to this site, if they exit at 121 and making that turn, when somebody's trying to turn left on the service road from 121 going north, doesn't fit. So I want to see that in the document. The signage package that's being described, I don't have any problem on the two signs on the service road. We have 3 businesses already along 121 there. One sign that definitely needs to be taken down right now. But I think one tall monument sign along 121 would be enough. And let's see. I believe all of I would like to address drainage and a comment that was made during the public hearing. In theory, the law states that on all developments that no more water cannot leave a site any quicker than after development, any quicker than it currently is. Now you have engineers that are fully trained and capable of calculating all that out, but sometimes math does not work. And things happen, and in that case, there has to be, and we've had a case in the city recently that it has been, the developer and the engineers had to, I'm sure, use a lot of insurance money to fix a miscalculation. But those are in the law and have to be followed as far as how much water leaves a site at one time. And what's on the rendering right now, things are going to change somewhat because an engineer has not surveyed that entire property and figured out what is needed and what location to ultimately, I assume that is correct. Is that a correct statement, that there has to be more engineering until we know exactly size of detention and retention ponds and where they're located? Okay. But what I was seeing a lot of time is further on the project, there's adjustments to that. So with that.
I got one more thing on the.
Okay.
Because you reminded me of something.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good. On page 47, or page 2 of this document here, Alex. Sorry. On page 2 says section 4, conceptual and development detailed site plan. Section 4, number A, says proposed lot delineations on the conceptual site plan are allowed to change as development within the PD occurs. I can agree with that sometimes, but down lower it also says staff can do that. I think that on a project this magnitude that we need to get, because we don't have, like you said a minute ago, we don't have elevations really to speak of. And it says on line B, it says and if I'm not understanding this correctly, it says for development on lots 1, 2, 5, and 6, the development plan, final site plan, and the building design elevation will be reviewed and approved at the staff level if they are consistent with the conceptual plan. Is my to understand that the 1, 2, 5, and 6 are not gonna have to comply with the rest of the PD?
Essentially, what that states is that if this conceptual site plan, which is on the left side of the screen that's being broadcast here, if it's been designed with a parking and a building footprint, and there's companion building elevations, for example, 5 and 6, then at the time of development of lots 5 and 6, then they could submit a site plan and building elevations for staff approval. So effectively, at this moment in time, anything other than lots 5 and 6 would go through the Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council approval process, because only those two buildings have been defined at this time.
What about 1 and 2?
There's no building elevations associated, so then that
That
would
would have to
come
come
through
back
the
to us.
Planning and Zoning and City
Have to come
Council
to us?
process.
The way I read it, I was like, it doesn't have to comply with the rest of the
No,
development.
it comes back to us.
And
Okay.
just
wanna make
furthermore, just for example, the frontage along US 75, without knowing the specific location of drive-through restaurants
No,
or
I get
sit-down restaurants, there are not any lots depicted here. And so this, to your point prior to that one, this allows those lot lines to be established when the users are known as opposed to at this point in time.
You good? I take that as a yes. Okay, we're gonna move on to Area A, which is big box, and it's, if you don't, my eyes aren't good enough to really clearly see this, but this is actually talking about one defined big box, but an area for a second big box. Okay, and we refer to these as anchor stores. And so, in the future, there would probably be a second one. So with that, should I start on the right this time? Or you want a hard time? Okay, let's start down here, Mark.
Well, I think that, I don't have a lot on the area A, except for the fact that it's been drainage, that you're now creating an enormous amount of hard deck. I know that they engineer it, I know they do their studies, but this was a field absorbing a lot of water. Now you're gonna have a tremendous amount of hard deck that's going to offshoot that water, and really would love to see the engineer drain that and where they're going to take it to, because that's a huge area. Out, there's not, along 75, there's not like a drain culvert that takes it away, and it has to go south. So I'm curious to see how that, do you have concerns there?
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
Ditto.
Okay?
Ditto.
You knew I was gonna say something. Is this the right time to talk about those green spaces? Or do we want to, because it says it's under the heading A, but I don't.
You go right ahead.
Okay, the green spaces, there's part in here that says there's gonna be, not apply to, where was it? I wanna say it's on 6, talks about, Xeris, what's it, Xeriscape or whatever, that they plant it from the, irrigate it for 3 years, and then they stop. And then others that it's maintained. My concern is with any large retail development. They look good for the first year or two, and then the common areas are kind of left to whatever. And you have these great walking trails. I don't know many people that are gonna wanna come to walk their dog at the retail center, but I mean, I like the green space. But my question is, if it's not maintained permanently, and because a lot of times you see these retail spots, the little islands have like the little rubber hoses for the landscape that are exposed now, and they look bad, and people trip over them, and pebble gardens are all over the grass or whatever. They just don't look good after a few years. I want to have some kind of assurance that this is going to be permanently maintained, not just left after 3 years. So that's kind of a big deal for me as far as the overall.
Okay. And did you have anything on A?
My big deal on A was making sure we have the elevations before we approve them.
Okay. And my comments on A, first of all, I would like to once again put our city manager on the spot. And we have, there's been a significant amount of back and forth on what our big boxes are going to look like. And are our big boxes going to look like big boxes in other cities, or are they going to be different and fit into the ambiance of Van Alstyne? So, Lane, would you mind addressing that for a few minutes?
We've made it clear to our developer that Van Alstyne is going to make sure that we have an exceptional development. And I think Robert started out with that discussion. He understood it from day one of our meeting. And if he and his architectural firm and many other people have heard me say over and over and over again, anything less is unacceptable. And as late as 5:15 this evening, I was cornering Robert. We were talking about elevations for the big box, and I'd spent almost all day yesterday with internal staff and city leadership on developing a facade that we found acceptable for the look of the entire shopping center as well as the big box. And he was in agreement this evening that they could work with what we're requiring of them to build in Van Alstyne. We don't want just another shopping center. We know that this one sets the tone for our entire city, and we want to get this one right from the very beginning.
And I know to bounce off that there's been several renditions trying to please city staff sent to us on that facade, and they've been quickly sent back so far. And that's why P&Z does not have the elevations tonight, is that until city staff is pleased with them, they're not going to show them to us. With that, a couple of comments. If we have a beautiful elevation, big box or two, and in the plan right now, it allows for 2 locations that are 2,700 square feet for each big box to put landscaping stuff, rental stuff, and other things. In my opinion, that is going to uglify. Look it up in the dictionary. You probably won't find that word. But that is going to significantly detract from the elevation that we're pushing so hard for if we have that. And I don't know if that part of it could be handled in a special use permit that was, I have a hard time saying for both big boxes, we're going to say that we have 2 2,700 square foot areas and exactly where are those going to be located and stuff. I don't know if it's possible for the one that's already defined in shape, if that could be a square building instead of so rectangle, to where there's more side space to it, to where maybe that those spaces could be put on the north side of that building. Also, customer pickup, I assume all big boxes have customer pickup now. And that's a little bit of distraction when it's, I don't know, I haven't been in a new one lately. I get everything delivered. But I don't know if they're still on the new ones doing delivery from the middle of the front of the building instead of the side. And so people don't have, if they're going inside the building, they don't have adequate parking in front because of all the pickup. So I don't know if they're still doing it right in the middle, but that's not as big a deal to me as the garden supplies and stuff like that. I don't mind the garden center and it being fenced and everything. And I know we have ordinances against it, that this would be a PD and an exception to it, but I know some cities are now, and I think McKinney is an example, that have taken that away from stores that already exist, and they were grandfathered for a while, and now they're saying, no, we're not going to have all that outside. So I would like a solution to that. And then on page 51 of our packet, page 6 of the proposed development agreement, it talks about trade dress. And trade dress is coloring, in the packet it says that we're gonna have earth tone colors on these buildings instead of the bright colors that some stores like to be. But then there could be a trade dress of a 15% variance, which means that their corporate color could take up 15%. 15% of a front of a building is a lot of space, and that could cover up our beautiful earth tones and design that we're trying so hard from. And once again, with my newfound love of a word, it would uglify the front of that building. So I have a concern with that I would like to be addressed. And that's all I have on A. Would the developer or our staff would like to comment on any of our comments so far? Y'all good? Or would like to comment, or?
Whatever the Planning and Zoning Commission's, but I mean, in terms of, if we're talking about the 27 square foot area, two areas for each big box designated for open storage or outdoor sales and display, I would start by asking the developer what their, what's typical and what they've done in their other centers. Obviously, the intention is to minimize that outside storage area, so I would first turn to them to see what is common practice in some of their more successful aesthetic centers. If you turn to me, I would probably lean more to a more restrictive point of view, so they may appreciate.
Have y'all run into any cities on initial development yet that have said, no, we're not gonna do that? Yeah, yeah. Any trucks on 121 is a bad deal. That's. Sure.
So I wanted to ask a question about, were you talking about like construction?
On the delivery?
Trucks coming in and locations?
I think initially that, but I think also we need to have discussion on the big boxes on delivery routes and things like that, and how that can be controlled, or if that can be controlled. And I know there are some developments that have been done that do have those restrictions. But my first concern is the construction, because that's gonna just, if they come on to 121, it's just gonna be, I won't use the terminology that I have in my mind, but it won't be good. Okay. It is. Yeah, if you screw up on drainage a couple of times, it's hard to get insurance. It's
Isn't that corner 175 lower elevation than the up?
Well, the common area neighbors, there's lots of different ways to call that. I mean, in some cities, they have we also will have self-help rights, rights, and then they're not doing the right thing instead.
And your phone number is?
Yeah.
Comment about the walk trails.
Well, I think it's important. I just want to make sure it's maintained. I want it to look like a park, not an island, a parking lot island.
Because ultimately, that maintenance depends on tenants.
Yep.
They all share certain percentages to maintain the parking
Yes.
lot, all the landscaping. Basically, the tenant's responsibility.
On their individual parcel, but on the, so what we've got a plan for that.
Just to clarify, I'm sorry.
Go right ahead.
Before we get away from it. My concern on the drainage, I get it. You guys do it, you build them. This is a unique spot because there's not a significant drainage plane frontage road. None. And so you're going to now do all of this. I don't know how you can do it without putting in a drainage facility, drain pipe under 121. I don't know how that's gonna happen because that is gonna shear southward. That natural flow is going southward, so when you go out from the parking lot, somehow you're gonna have to go under 121 with drainage.
Right, and there is a small drainage pipe that goes under 121 right now to the east. It's collected
But
at
it's
the hard corner.
small.
But it's small, so we have to
It
minimize.
floods in front of McDonald's.
So we minimize the amount of flow that goes into that to its capacity, and we over-detain, which means provide extra storage for detention if we're taking it another direction. So the detention, retention facilities on the north side are sized to accommodate any additional flow that's sent there so that we're not increasing flow onto the property to the west. So it's all, we just have to allocate where the water goes appropriapately.
Right, then that's
And
what
and that's
would
the
be
plan.
interesting seeing, because
Sure.
it's weird down through there, south of 121.
Right. Understood.
And I might add that hasn't been said is, this is part A that we're seeing tonight. And this developer also has under contract the land on the south side of 121. And so if this does not go well, that's going to be very difficult for us to approve. And so I think there's a carrot there to help it go well. And I have seen some of his projects and looked at some of his projects, and they are above normal standard of normal cities, but once again, we're asking for a level above that. So with that, anything else from commission on A? We will now move on to B, which is for the restaurants and stores that are along the, that are not the two big boxes.
Alex, can you bring up where it shows, there was an image that we received that has the frontage road of 121 and shows those two sections at B.
Was that in the developer's presentation or the staff
What was
presentation?
this thing you sent us?
Is our packet.
Yeah, it's in our packet. Was it showing the road cuts on 121?
There they are, I think, aren't they? Okay.
Presentation.
Yeah, it's,
The most difficult thing, I think, in the,
Go back one, that one. Is that what you were talking about? Mark?
yeah,
yeah, so
go ahead.
So in that one, we're looking at these surrounding properties. Obviously, you're going to have in section B, out to the frontage road. You can see that really easy when I'm on the laptop. I'm halfway blind now, so, but as to what Dr. Spees was saying, as far as traffic onto 121 for construction, you have several curb cuts there. There's one that there's already a curb cut in the median, almost 120. It is the only real direct access if you were to do the, otherwise the multifamily is down through all that parking. And that curb cut, that deceleration lane that you guys like to call, you can put maybe 2 cars in. There is not enough stacking area, traffic turning left. In other words, if you're going eastbound on 121, and you're going to turn northbound into it, there is a curb cut that TxDOT put there. It goes nowhere right now. You could maybe put 2 cars into that stacking lane. That's gonna be a real challenge of people trying to turn in, which means they're gonna go back to where Colin McKinney Parkway is, where the light is, no problem with that. But in reflecting through the development, coming through there, there's no route back to that multifamily section of the lane, other than going through the parking. I looked at that in detail today, and I was just like, I don't know how you're gonna even get into the multifamily. But that other route that you have, which is along that red line, is that curb cut. Is that curb cut.
I was gonna talk about that very thing.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, there's no way you're gonna put a bunch, no possible way.
Everybody's gonna go to the red light.
Let's hear a response.
Yep. Good. That's good. Okay. I just didn't see in your plan through B where there's any kind of a direct route for people. Eventually, you probably will build apartments. But I'm just saying, I don't see a direct route to get through and up to it. It's just hard to see it on the visualization without cutting through the development. You follow what I'm saying?
I do.
Without- Through all the retail and all the parking.
And they will, ultimately, unless they're going up 75 and coming back down south, or,
Correct.
I'm not sure what all's happening on the corridor as it relates to exits, but right now, that drive, the decel lane and left turn lane you're talking about is gonna be closed.
So, so in reflection to B, you're talking about, he's absolutely right. If you start trying to take trucks, it's gonna be a lot of them, heavy equipment, trucks, deliveries, so on and so forth. During the construction, it's gonna be a nightmare, not only for the drivers of those trucks, anybody that's trying. That's gonna be a real nightmare, without developing all of that roads first.
And there is one big school there right now, and during this construction project, there's gonna be possibly right next to it a middle school that opens during this process. And having those big trucks along 121, I just,
Well, I mean.
I don't think
quite-
that's-
Quite frankly, if we require them to, any construction.
Yeah.
Deliveries, any construction traffic needs to come on frontage road, on 75, just like we did when we did, was it
Yes.
the housing developments?
I just have a question. When you say construction truck traffic, are you talking about when the development is physically under construction, or okay, so not deliveries after it's already built?
I would like to have a discussion about deliveries after it's built, but my main concern right now is construction.
Okay.
If we limit construction traffic all to the frontage road, I think it'll help a lot.
Hopefully, by the time we have deliveries to stores, we will also have a bridge that will make it a little bit more conducive.
Okay.
So,
I hear you, and I don't disagree. I just also want to point out that we are doing, or this, if this goes forward and is approved, we would be doing construction work on FM 121, though, as part of those improvements.
yeah, but
Okay.
having those
Understood.
entrances not available to construction traffic, and some people put up a couple of signs, but then they don't enforce it. I would expect it to be majorly enforced that, yeah, there's gonna be some cement trucks to finish off those driveways and stuff like that. I get that, but 99% of that construction traffic needs to be coming down that service road.
Construction materials and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Mark, I'm sorry. You done? Yes, sir.
I'm good.
On another project, I just point out, we do more than signs. We would like with the dirt that's been moved on site, we'd berm it up and kind of create like a wall. So yeah, we're used to not letting stuff like that happen, if that's what you want to see.
Nails work well, too. Yes, sir.
Nail guns.
Do you have anything?
No, sir.
Okay. My comments, there's an elevation for the stores and what the stores are gonna look like on page 14 of our packet. I don't think we have one. There it is, right there. I like the look of that, but then I see that the elevations that were for these stores is 40% masonry. In my opinion, glass doesn't count. And in my opinion, that's not going, that picture looks like more than 40% masonry. And so I would just like to make sure, and on those that are going to be, I think this one talked about facade 1, 2, and 3 for the different angles. These are going to be highly visible from all sides. And so making sure that all sides are appealing is important to me, because you're not going to hide the big box, you're going to hide the back probably. But on these, all the sides are going to be very visible, and you drive into there and have a beautiful big box, and then or looking at the back of these that look less than that, I have a concern with. Also, it addresses landscaping on Area A, but it doesn't have a landscaping area in the plan for Area B. You might be able to just copy and paste, or you might need to make some adjustments, but we need landscaping addressed there. And then on the north side of Area B and the south side of Area C, there are what look like from a distance some absolutely gorgeous trees. And I would like to see what we can come up with as far as, usually they put, no tree larger than this can be taken down. Well, they have some trees that are called scrub trees or stuff. I don't want a 12-inch scrub tree left up, but I'm sure y'all have some experience in saving trees, and I don't want a verbal commitment that we're going to try to save as many trees as possible, because we've had several developers that have said that, and then there wasn't a blade of grass left. And so if we can save some of those trees between B and C, I think that would be, I want to see that in the plan. And I think that is all I have. Any last comments on Area B?
Do you want to increase the masonry from 40% higher?
I think it would be very wise to increase that percentage of masonry.
For all sides, not just the front facade?
Yes. That was my point that I was trying to make.
I just wanted to get more
Yes.
closer to a number, probably.
Do you want me to respond to that?
Sure.
Okay, Ms. Gerald Lukey at Hodges Architecture. In the sub-area B, there's a 60% requirement for masonry in lieu of the 40%. That's on the primary facades that are visible from the parking lot area or from right-of-way. And the 40% would only be applicable if you had say, a service area or something that typically the public typically does not see. From the standpoint of the trees along the sub-area A and B, or excuse me, sub-area B and C, Alex, do you have a tree preservation ordinance right now?
No, sir, not for interior trees.
Okay. So we can work something out there. It's to our advantage to keep as many of those as possible as it relates to the look that we want from the multifamily and also from the retail view to the multifamily. So it helps in both developments. So I think we can work something out there in relationship to that.
I appreciate it. Anything else? And what everybody's waiting for, we'll discuss Area C. I feel like we're at a national underground bunker or something when we have all these areas, but, Mark?
Well, I think my feelings on multifamily, the area was already zoned multi. So with it being zoned.
That's not a correct statement, I'm sorry.
C2. C2.
Oh, C2, I'm sorry.
But the comprehensive plan has it.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
So eventually it's going to happen. Again, my concern, significant one, is I don't think we should ever allow more than a 40. I just think it's ridiculous to try and put tall buildings up there. But the big thing is the traffic. And I believe that developers tend to start building apartments pretty quickly. I think that this should be looked at as saying the multifamily could go in after the freeway intersection. And that may be 5 to 10 years. But I think that because of the traffic, has there been a traffic impact analysis done? So without a traffic impact analysis, no way to even begin to calculate, other than what most of us already know, that a bunch of apartments up there flood, that'll be a nightmare for everyone. But I think that my support would be for the retail, but not until all of the freeway and the intersection and 121 is completed, that we allow any apartments to be built up.
Matt?
I don't disagree with that. I know that I've got some of the same concerns that were stated during the public hearing about multifamily. I understand that that there has been a call during our public hearings or public meetings, open houses for our comprehensive plan for a variety of housing. Obviously, single family is the largest majority of what we heard. But single family obviously is not going to work in this area, and that's why in the comprehensive plan, we talked about along that part of the roadway for mixed development, things like that. So I think that the 45 feet should be the standard. And I also feel that until something can be done about the traffic, that there's some sort of moratorium on the development of that as well, like you mentioned, Mark.
Okay.
Basically kind of the same. In this PD, there is, in the area C, there's townhomes, there's 2 stories, there's 3 stories with retail on the bottom, there's 4 stories with parking garages. That's too vague and too broad. Way too big, way too vague and too broad. I think that needs to be narrowed. I don't think we can go over 45 feet. 2 stories is plenty for that area. It is in the land use plan for the comprehensive plan that would be multifamily. I do agree with this gentleman that there needs to be some kind of barrier other than trees that goes between your property and the multifamily. There needs to be a wall of some kind or a big iron fence or something that's going to protect you and your family. Any traffic that comes through the apartments. I think that needs to be included. Landscaping as well, but especially a fence, some kind of barrier. But I think the scope of the multifamily needs to be narrowed significantly than what it is currently. And I agree that or we can just dump a bunch of stuff, a bunch of residents into that intersection 121 tentatively.
Okay.
With the timeline.
I'm going to want to emphasize the school impact, especially with some of the stuff that's planned just going to school areas identified. In the apartment PD, I think your number of parking spaces meet our requirement, and I think, again, if you look at 300 to 500 apartments, depending, you don't have enough parking spaces there. The other thing I'd like to point out, there's no fire department west of 75. That's a pretty high structures there, yet there's no fire department out there. Sort of an offhand, the new safety center, would it handle a ladder truck?
Do not own a ladder.
I know we don't, and I know that Grand Prairie just bought one. That's how I know what the price is on it. My question is, would that facility even be able to handle a fire truck? Should we get
A new facility? Absolutely.
Thank you. All right. My comments on Area C. I don't have a problem with the size of the apartments that are being asked for. I do have a problem with number per acre. And I think it's been made clear, unless somebody wants to donate $4 million for a new fire truck, that we're not going to go any higher than what our ordinance says right now. It does talk about townhomes. I don't think there's any way that the townhomes are going to be built. I think it's going to be all apartments. But just in case, we made the mistake of doing townhomes with two front garages, which this calls for 2 garages for each townhome, and all you have for the front of the townhome is garages and a front door. And we're not interested in that. If it's rear entry or something like that, that's doable. But a 22-foot lot with 2 enclosed garages math doesn't work for me.
That language does only allow us rear-loaded homes.
Thank you. And I'll echo that I'm not sure that the entire apartment complex wouldn't be good to have security fencing around it on all sides, and have the, high-end apartments have the gated communities, and I'm not sure that this wouldn't be a good one to do that on, which would protect the residents and would protect the north property owners there. And I think that's all I had for Area C. I would like to see the 28 units per acre. I do not remember, and Alex, you had it in your presentation, is ours 18? 18? I could meet in the middle someplace on that number. We do require larger apartments than most municipalities, and I think we need to keep doing that. I have one that kind of disagrees with the logic of my fellow commissioners, in that if we build 2 big boxes and restaurants and these strip sections and stuff like that, without an apartment, we might be increasing traffic more than with the apartments, because these would, most people that would be working in these retail stores would not own homes. Most of the vast majority of workers for these would be $15 to $20 an hour employees that would be in apartments. And so not having an apartment might add more traffic than having an apartment. And I would like to well, I'm not discussing, I'm just making an observation. There would be probably, I would guess, 300 to 400 employees in this at build-out. And so, and I would also like to add, the reason that we had a request to have more apartments added to the east side of 75 where all the apartments are, and that question came up earlier. We're trying to, and that started being turned into where all the apartments in Van Alstyne were going to be put. We don't want apartments all in one location. All of those kids would go to the same school. They would, and that are on 20 to 30 acres and packed in tight. And that's our philosophy so far. I think the commissioners have had that what we're calling pocket apartments, which are smaller acreage. And so that's our logic, whether you believe in it or not. That's been our logic. So with that, Closing comments from commissioners.
Could I respond on the discussion on Sub-Area C?
Sure.
My name is Charles Hodges. I'm with Hodges Architecture, and this is our 50th year of doing this kind of project. We've done 46 million feet in 36 states, and most of them in the last 10 years have been mixed-use projects, and we take great pride in creating walkable environments. Bill Benton and I have known each other for far longer than we want to admit.
I'm
and
sorry.
It's my burden to carry. But I guess it was 8 to 10 years ago before ever being involved with this group, Bill and the owner, Roy Gene Evans, and I sat down. We master planned this entire area. And we weren't far off, but we always designated some type of density residential so that we could have walkability from those units, whatever they be, to our restaurants, to populate those. Because what you'll find in a lot of these centers, they don't have that, and quite frankly, it's a missed opportunity because it's fine on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. These centers take care of themselves, but Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are tough times for these tenants. And so having walkable, directly adjacent residential of some type, I think is something that we need to at least, we would hope you would consider. Now, there's a lot of types of density residential, and although apartments carry a stigma to a lot of folks, and I totally understand that. I watch the news every night like everybody else does. But by eliminating any consideration for multifamily whatsoever, then you're eliminating the opportunity for somebody to build a really nice 55 and over project here. And the silver economy, if you really study that, and we speak on that a lot, the silver economy, I can say that, but what I've got left is silver. But the point is, there's a missed opportunity there to have great walkability. Those folks eat out all the time, like 5.7 times per week. They have a lot of disposable income. And you can set the quality of your apartments by the price point. So I would only ask that we kind of create Sub-Area C as a little zone of open-mindedness, and let's not just say density residential is eliminated. Perhaps we could consider other types or certain types. Townhouses are great. A lot of times on a 10 or 11 acre site, we mix a density residential and a townhouse because we find that homogeneous development really is beneficial. Somebody that wants a 2-bedroom or and they want to have more than a single bedroom efficiency. Those townhouses seem to lease first. But we also have those who don't want to pay for an extra bedroom or just choose not to. And so I would just ask that we consider that for different types of density residential, whether it's senior 55, 62, whether it's a mix of townhouse, row houses. We've done some row houses, and I mean, you can say they're density residential, they sell for $400,000 a pop. So I think we should keep an open mind to that mixed use, because there's nothing better than having somebody walk out of their living unit, walk to dinner, go pick up what they need, and back to their. We save a ton of traffic by doing that. Now, unfortunately, we only have enough land to build 280 units here, or close to 300. So it's not going to be a big savings, but that component adds, quite frankly, texture and life to a great mixed-use center. So I would just ask that we think about that.
I think we're going to be open-minded to, I think the comments that you've heard tonight, we will see if there's a motion to move this to City Council. If not, I think we're going to reschedule for another meeting, which I think with the number of questions on a lot of topics, trying to craft a motion tonight to address all of the concerns would be a futile process. And so what I'm going to ask, if it is not approved tonight, that when it comes back, that you have listen to the commission, listen to the audience, and come up with your best shot of what would be palatable to us, or that we would go, wow, and putting the, I don't want to speak for all of my fellow commissioners, but I think I'm the one that's been on this the longest, and we've learned to mistrust some, because we're promised one thing and we get another. So we've started crossing our T's and dotting our I's pretty tight, and not saying, well, trust us, this is the way it's going to be, and then we have something else. And so I apologize for our non-trust in some things, but that's, it comes with our experience. Is that a fair statement? With that, I would like to know if any commissioner has any further thoughts on this project and on the zoning of this project.
I do.
Yes, sir.
Of course I would. Big box you talked about earlier, 15% is too much, to 15%, the paint deal.
Yes.
I'd like to mark that down to about 4 or 5%. Okay. Any outbuildings need to be congruent with the other architectural features of the buildings. In other words, same, like any trash cans, surround bins, or any other outbuildings need to be consistent with that. In reference to the multifamily, I would agree with you that there's a growing populace of silver generation, as well as the younger Gen X and Gen Zs, that the younger generation, a lot, not all, a lot of the younger people, my grandkids' age, maybe a little older, they don't care about yards. They don't care about, they want to live where they eat and shop. So to that end, I agree with you that if we keep the density somewhat lower than what is on here and have higher security, higher fences, like you said, the gated community and apartment complex, more of a luxury high-end deal, I think you can maybe have a balance there that you might be able to come up with. Walkable, I think, is agreeable. That area, we need to remind everybody that area in our comprehensive plan is designated multifamily. Now, when that happens, I would agree that we need to have that traffic area fixed before that goes in, if possible. So it would help mitigate the traffic going north off 121 to the apartment complex. If you're going north, I can see that being a problem, like Mark said. And I think I have one more thing here. I think that's about it.
I think this would be more palatable instead of saying it might be apartments and it might be this and it might be that, if we could designate no more than 50% would be apartments and no less than 50% would be townhomes, or something to that. And I know it's much more marketable to y'all to leave it as generic as possible, and I can appreciate that. But anything that could help us get to that point, and I really want to see a maximum number of units for this acreage in the numbers that we're given. And that, and then maybe it's easier to say we don't need to know an exact number of townhomes or an exact number of apartments, but the maximum number overall of units is going to be this, I think would help us considerably.
Yep.
Anything else from commission?
Yeah, I'd like to add first, I think I can speak for all of them. We really appreciate the fact that the developer has been willing to work with city staff, have some give and takes, and put together a really nice package. I think that the development itself is really well done. I mean, we have some questions, sure. And please understand, I'm not anti-apartment. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have apartments there. But I think that it's premature to a high-density anything, and apartment-wise, all the traffic situation. It's just, I would never support that because we already deal with that more than any of you. Okay. But I'm not anti-apartment because they do feed and it is a great addition to it. I think there needs to be limitations and we need to cross that barrier when we get to it. And we need to have some answers. Yeah, this is something we recommend to City Council. Thank you very much. I mean, thank you for everything. And voice your opinions because it's important. Because people that don't come and voice their opinions just want to sit on the computer and voice their opinions that way. That doesn't help anything. But everybody that came and spoke out, that's what this community is about. That's what we need. Hopefully, the developers hear all of that.
Robert, would you like to make any last comments? Well, we'll get to that right now. Now, we're talking other than signage, correct? We're talking about the color of the building, not signage.
Well, I mean, but I don't think the color is gonna, because you're gonna have signage. So I don't know that that is inclusive in the sign.
No.
I know you're talking about it's on the building itself.
So what's on the building itself, I mean, you can have bands of color, I mean, I get that, you know, but as far as signage, you're gonna have signage. You know, so, I mean, it's like, for example, I can think of a store in McKinney, a big box store in McKinney, that it's 100% masonry on every visible side. Got a sign, and it has one stripe of band around the building for color. That's it. And it looks gorgeous.
You've heard our concerns, and I hope if there's not a motion to move this to council tonight, that y'all come back with your best shot for us. So, Commission, I think we, go ahead. Well, that's what I was getting to. We have two options tonight. Any commissioner can make a motion to move this forward to council, or we have had our public hearing. We can, we would have a hard time posting this as another public hearing, but we can have it on our regular meeting agenda on the 16th, if that gives y'all enough time. Would the 16th give y'all enough time to address this and come up with a plan, or is that too short of a time? Yeah, I think it's too far away to craft a motion. The 16th would give y'all a couple of weeks to, I'm sure city staff would make their time available as much as humanly possible, and if on the 16th you think you could make enough significant to address some of our concerns, yeah. So, I would think that city council, if a special meeting would be needed for them to move this forward, I think that would be a possibility also. Am I speaking out of turn, Mr. City Manager? We want this, we want to help you get this moved forward. We just want to make sure it's done right, and we're not going to rush this through just to get it done. We would rather, I know y'all are in a hurry. We want to be able to buy groceries and other items in Van Alstyne yesterday. But we also know that this is a decision that's going to last over 100 years. Maybe not these stores, but this land and how it's going to be used, and we take it very seriously that it's going to be done right. And so I think a couple of weeks is, if that gives y'all enough time to where you think you can get it done, then we'll be ready for it. Yeah, you would have to have your stuff into us by what, the 10th? Okay. The more that you have at that meeting available to us, elevations and addressing these concerns and everything, the better off we'll be. Yeah. It's hard to approve something you don't have. Yeah. 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 We're not interested in micromanaging the project, but we're interested in making sure that what we start with and directions to city staff are tight enough that they have a very, very clear understanding of where we're trying to go.
Well, quite frankly, we have kind of an elevation of the B section. You know, we kind, and we're kind of all in agreement, say, hey, it looks pretty good. So, you know, with the exception of not knowing what the masonry looks like on the back. But I mean, I think we're pretty good on that. It's the big box that's gonna be what people see. That's still gonna be their first impression of this. The strip shopping and the pad sites, that's, you know, a Whataburger is gonna look like a Whataburger. Chipotle is gonna look like Chipotle. You know, whatever, all those are gonna we kind of expect that to a degree. Now, there are high-end Panda Expresses and there's low-end Panda Expresses. You know, we want kind of the high-end, but anyway, but you get what I'm saying, okay? With the big box, that's what people are gonna see. We wanna see that too, before we just say, okay, you know, and I'm just not gonna, you know, we're not gonna do that.
I will entertain any motion, but I would like a motion that we will table this until the 16th.
So moved.
There's a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion, and I got Mark on the second. And is there any further discussion? All in favor signify by raising your hand, please. Okay, let the record indicate that that motion passed 5-0. And a final comment for the community. This will not be posted again as a public hearing, but all of our regular meetings have public comments at the first of the meetings. You have to sign up before the meeting in order to talk. So I'm making that and stating that right now so everybody doesn't say they didn't know the process. So,
And the agenda's gonna be posted too.
yeah, the agenda will be posted ahead of time. And so with that, having completed the information before us, I declare this meeting adjourned at 7:50. Thank y'all for being here.